it's Jesse, and welcome back into the show, everybody. I never thought that I would be having a real conversation about whether or not Bigfoot is actually real. But my next guest, Cliff Barackman, is one of the stars of the Discovery Channel's hit series, Finding Bigfoot. The search continues. Welcome to the show, Cliff.
Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. So I have to start off with just some base questions. Why do you think that Bigfoot is real?
Well, the evidence, actually, at least that's the way it started out. The evidence is clear as day if you're familiar with the work that's been done by scientists that have come before us. The footprint cast evidence shows features of other ape species as well as human relatives, Neanderthals and Homo erectus and Australopithecines and that sort of thing. It's also internally consistent. And the information about those differences between human feet and other hominin feet wasn't readily available to the general public until about the year 2000. But yet you can look back at footprint casts from the 1950s and see these same features in it. And it's consistent no matter who cast them, where they're cast, or when they were cast. The evidence is actually rather overwhelming.
So have you seen one yourself?
Yeah, I saw one in 2011. Of course, I started looking for these things in 1994. And I was convinced, well, I was reasonably convinced in 1994 that these are almost certainly real animals, but I need to find out for myself. So I started camping in areas where Sasquatches had been seen before in my own search for evidence. Over the years, I've found footprints. I've seen one in 2011. I've recorded their vocalizations. I've smelled them. I've had rocks thrown at me out in the wilds when I thought I was alone. I've been growled at and screamed at, and I've spoken to literally thousands of people who claim to have seen them before. These people, of course, have everything to lose and nothing to gain by telling me. They're not getting rich or famous, by their Bigfoot sighting report. They get heckled actually in their community for telling the truth, which is a shame. So,
what was your particular interaction like with Bigfoot once you saw him?
Well, I saw one. I want to point that out. It's a big misconception that there's only one of these things roaming around, and if there was only one of them, well, of course this whole thing would be nonsense, right? But it's a species of animal, and we know that because people see small ones. People see individuals carrying juveniles. We have footprint casts from a variety of sizes and places and from different individuals. But as far as the one I saw, it was through a thermal imager about 2 o'clock in the morning, about 2 miles off trail at a place with repeated encounters and a visual observations of Sasquatches. I watched this thing walk through a wooded hillside without a light at 2 o'clock in the morning. One of our team members tried to get closer to it, and it just hopelessly outdistanced this guy, even though our guy had a thermal imager and a night vision monocular and whatnot. This thing had nothing, and it was just like zip through the woods.
So is Sasquatch the nickname for Bigfoot?
Well, Sasquatch and Bigfoot are the same animal. Sasquatch is a term from the Chehalis Reserve. It's a native reserve it's like a reservation, but in Canada they call them reserves. The Chehalis people outside of Harrison Hot Springs, their word for Sasquatch isn't easily Englished. Like, you can't write that word in English because their language has sounds in it that we can't write in English. And there's this white guy named J.W. Burns in the 1920s on their reserve. And he was obviously friends with the community he was working with. And these people in the community, the native people, the indigenous people, were talking about some of them had seen Sasquatches before. And he wanted to write an article about it, but he couldn't write the word. So he anglicized it. He turned it into an English word. So
during the show, you guys are in the woods hunting, and what's the big thing that you guys are looking for? Is it a footprint? Is it what would be the top thing that you guys are really hunting for?
Yeah, our goal essentially is it's kind of twofold. As far as what we can find and bring back, what we'd really like is good footage, of course. Good visual footage, preferably daylight, of course. But Sasquatches tend to be largely nocturnal. That's of course based on the data, the sighting report data. They skews towards the nighttime, so we think that they're largely nocturnal. So we go out with night vision binoculars and also thermal imagers, so we can see in the dark, because I can't without the tools, right?
All right, Cliff. I wish I had so much more time with you to pick your brain about all of this, but can you tell my viewers where they can go to see Finding Bigfoot?
Yeah, the new Finding Bigfoot 2-hour special is called Finding Bigfoot. The search continues, and it is streaming now anytime you want it on Discovery Plus. You go to discoveryplus.com, and that's Plus, not the plus sign, discoveryplus.com.
All right, you guys heard it here. Don't move because we have more Good Day Live when we get back.